Hey everyone, Pet Party back again. Today we're going to be going over something that I've gone over, touched on in a few other videos, but I wanted to actually get in depth with it on its own video. And that is the functional population of a card that, people actually have access to potentially someday, maybe being able to buy it, and the effect that supply and demand has on this particular term. So basically, the way it boils down to is you've got hoarder, collector, investor assholes like me who, let's just say, have a Yata-Garasu. But I don't have one Yata-Garasu. I've got 15 because I love that card and I think it's going straight to the moon. So as a result, I'm hoarding these things because, I think it's either my favorite card and it's the coolest thing ever made, or I think it's too underpriced. I bought a bunch of them to try and put the price up. Either way, what this does is if there's, say, only 40 PSA 10 copies of a card, and someone like that has 15 of them, automatically your functional population is down to 25. If you've got a bunch of other collectors who have them for their registry sets, or they just have it because they like the card and they're never planning on selling it, we'll say there's another 15 people that are like that. So all of a sudden, that PSA 40 population of a card is whittled down to 10. And people don't seem to realize that when they see some of these giant price spikes in cards and are wondering, why the hell is this card only $300 a couple months ago? Now they're asking $500-$600. Why is this $1,000 card that hasn't come up for sale in half a year or more? Why is it all of a sudden $7,000? That doesn't make sense. You shouldn't have 6 or 7 times growth on something in the run of 6 months. And just looking at it from a common sense way of looking at things, normal products generally don't work like that. But when you're talking collectibles, and in this case, graded cards, I like to deal with mainly, common sense really doesn't apply, for the lack of a better word. Basically, what it all boils down to is you've got a lot of people who are either really attached to items for sentimental reasons or for financial monetary reasons. And most of those people tend not to want to sell their stuff unless you make it stupid worth their while. Especially if you look at something like, PSA 10 LOB First Edition Blue Eyes White Dragon. The card is up to that insane of a price now. If someone was to sell a copy of that card, it is very, very, very unlikely that they will ever be able to buy back that card for that same price again or less. So you really need to keep that in mind when you see these Hype Master 4000 prices on some of these cards and wondering why the hell card is selling for that high. It's not that necessarily the card has intrinsically appreciated 2 or 3 times its value in a couple months. It's that there's that many people who own the card that aren't willing to sell it. Talking about diamond hands before, those are, diamond hand collectors, diamond hand investors. They're not folding their hands for $5 profit. They're not selling at a loss. If Blue Eyes went to shit tomorrow, I'm not all of a sudden going to go, oh no, my, $100,000 card is now worth $10,000. I better sell now and, take a giant loss on it. Most people don't think like that. Most people who have cards like that don't think like that, and they're not going to sell unless you have some, unforeseen life event happen, like death in the family member getting sick, baby, something happens with your car, something happens with your house, things like that. Is generally how it works. So what happens is, and this is the way I like to look at it, to be honest, is if there's a card that you want that if you had, you wouldn't sell for the price it's at currently, or you wouldn't sell at all, then you've literally proven my point. And I don't know how many times I have to repeat this saying over and over and over again, but a lot of people really can't grasp the concept of a lot of things are popular to you. You know, you find something desirable and other people think the same way as you. Surprise. Charizard is popular because Charizard is cool. Blue Eyes is popular because Blue Eyes is cool. People like cool shit. It's generally the way it goes in collectibles. So chances are, if you find something cool and your buddies find something cool, the kids you grew up with found it cool when you were kids, chances are people are still going to be nostalgic about it. They're still going to think it's cool, and that is going to be reflected, in the price and desirability of a card. So just wanted to go over that today in a quick, little bit more in-depth video. What it boils down to is, just because a PSA pop of a card is 100, 100 might sound like a lot, but if you've got 80 people who love Summon Skull, let's say, if there's only 80 PSA 10 copies and 60 of them are in collector's hands, you have 20 copies you might be able to get at some point. Unless you go to someone and offer them a stupid amount of money, which is generally what ends up happening and what drives the price up. So I had a gentleman come to me last year when Summon Skulls were selling, $500-$600, use as an example. He said, "Hey man, will you sell me your Summon Skull for $500? I said, "No, don't want to sell it for that." Fair market price. He wasn't lowballing me. It was what market was. I just didn't want to sell the damn thing. So 5 minutes later, he messaged me back. He's like, "Will he sell it for $1,000? Me doing mental math, I could probably get another one for, maybe $650 in a couple months. Pocket $400, cha-ching. What do? Sell him the Summon Skull for $1,000. It was a private sale, so no one else knew I was doing it. So I ended up going back, buying another copy a little while later for, I think it ended up costing me $700, but I still ended up making $300 when it was all said and done. Ended up selling a $700 card a few months later for just over $2,000. And now the card's $5,000. So in the run of a year, you've got a card that went from $500-$600 to $5,000, give or take 10%, blah, 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 hype master. So you need to keep that in mind, that a lot of the time these cards go up in price because it takes a stupid amount of money in an offer to try to pry it out of someone's cold dead hands. And, last time I'm saying this, if you wouldn't sell at a particular price, why the hell would anyone else sell at that price? So you really need to understand that concept. Keep it in the back of your head. A lot of the times it might suck that you got to overpay in the, your mind, your thought that this card isn't worth that much. But if you really want it and it's the only copy you can find and you got to pay a bit more than what you were thinking, there's no cheaper alternative. It's just the way it is. So unfortunately, in the situation the hobby is in now, you've either got to pay the money, hope it goes down, or you're going to run the risk of not paying the money and getting the card and have the card go up, their 10, 20, 50, 100% in a couple of months. So it's just the way it is at this point, unfortunately, with a lot of things. I wish I'd bought a lot of other stuff back when it was cheaper and, they were readily available on the market. But as they've been bought up by more and more collectors and more people are trying to finish off their sets, it's just the nature of the beast. There's only so many cards to go around. The hobby's popular for a reason. That's why a lot of these cards are getting such prices. So if you want a card at this point, especially if you're talking your old school nostalgic stuff like your Metal Raiders, your LOB, your base set Pokemon, you're probably going to end up having to pony up a good bit of cash because no one wants to be selling this stuff. And unfortunately, it's going to keep going that way as far as I can see in the foreseeable future. And there's not a whole lot that's going to change that outside of people dumping pallets and pallets of product on the market, which I honestly can't see happening at this point. So just a bit of food for thought. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hope you learned something today and have a good one.